So to get started, take us through what has this whole process been like for you this year as decisions have kind of gone back and forth on what's going to happen with high school football this year?
Well, especially with everything, including the pandemic going on, it's been very stressful for all the athletes, including myself. Um, Specifically, just having the back and forth going on for so long between the government and the CIAC
Mhm.
has just been extremely unnecessary. I think everybody can agree on that, including themselves. And all it's done is just add on top of everything that is stressing all the athletes out right now. And speaking for myself specifically, it's taking a little bit it's already sunk in for me. So I guess I'm kind of adapting to it, but it's still not a great situation. And obviously I would not like to be in it.
Talk about how some of these players have come up with the idea to to organize and kind of protest and make sure their voices are heard about letting students play this year.
Well, initially, right after the news was announced that they're planning on not letting 11-on-11 proceed, everybody kind of had that same initial shock. And once it sank in, like after a couple of hours, a ton of captains from across the state got together and came up with a plan to host this protest that happened earlier this week in West Hartford. And we planned that out in about less than 4 hours, I'd say. And for the amount of time put into it, I'd say the results were very good.
Yeah, you definitely got a lot of pickup and made your voices heard there. What's the key message that you want people to get out of these rallies and protests there?
Yeah, the key message is definitely, I know a lot of people think that we want to play straight up football how it always is, but we're not stupid. We know that we're in a very difficult time, and we just want the opportunity to play, which every other state except for Vermont right now, and I think Maine's kind of where we are, but it's Vermont, right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
every other state has had the opportunity to play, including states that are doing much worse than ours. And I know that the Department of Health is going to follow the recommendations, and I guess the CIC just wants to align with them. But we just want the opportunity to play, whether they believe that that's okay for the fall, which is the ideal situation. But I know every single athlete in Connecticut would be on board for a spring season as well.
One of the other things that's thrown out there is a shift to 7-on-7. What are your thoughts on that? And is that something that you think players would be interested in?
Well, personally, at the initial shock phase, I'm a D lineman and an offensive lineman. I'm 6'2", 245 pounds. So I'd have to slim down a little bit to have a really good opportunity at a 7-on-7. But I think everybody can agree that 7-on-7 is not football, and that would be probably one of the last things we'd want to do. I know that several people have stepped out, including quarterbacks and some wide receivers, saying that they would not participate because of the linemen. I think that's the overall feeling is that 7-on-7 is not going to be an adequate replacement for 11-on-11 football.
For you personally, outside of the game itself, what does football mean to you? Because I think with almost every sport, there's more to it than just the game itself.
Yeah, I've been playing football for 10 years, so it means a lot to me. It's the only sport that I've stuck with because when I was younger, I was not much of an athlete at all. I didn't start on any team until I was about, I think, 11. So I had played several years before I had a really good shot at being a starter on a team. Now I'm going to college to play football, which is great. I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities, but football has enabled me to do so many things that if juniors and seniors this year who are fighting for that opportunity to get attention from colleges, they aren't going to be able to get that if we don't play 11-on-11, even just for a few games. And I'm super blessed to be in the position that I am because I already know where I'm going, but I know so many people don't know where they're going and they're still fighting for that opportunity. And if it's taken away like that, then the lives of probably hundreds of student athletes are going to be flipped upside down as they are right now.
Through to start, what has this whole process been like for you as you've been kind of waiting in the wind, going back and forth with what's going to happen this year with Connecticut high school football?
I mean, it's been I think an emotional roller coaster. I mean, we're playing 1 minute we're not. We at first to start off, when COVID first started, we were like, oh, we're definitely going to play. It's going to be okay. And then, it dragged on for so long. And then we're going to get the word we're not going to play. We might play in the spring. We're bouncing back and forth, playing, we're not playing. It was emotional. It's hard on us, especially being a senior.
Yeah, I can only imagine from your perspective what things are like. Talk about the idea to organize everyone together to, get your voices out there and make sure, a player's voice is heard during these times.
I mean, so basically it started off with the petition started by Kevin Caverill from Haddam Killingworth. And I had a friend that grew up in East Haven who ended up moving there, and he texted me. He was like, "Hey, we got a little petition going around. We're gonna start a press conference. Can you help me spread the word and have some of your guys come?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. I want to play too."
Yeah.
And it ended up being we had a bunch of kids. I think we started off with 10, 12 schools, and then the 12 schools we were all like, "Oh, let's do this. Let's go to CAAC." And then I don't remember who it was, but the kid ended up. He was like, "Oh, what about the state capitol?" And then ever since then, we were like, that's the biggest stage. Let's do it there. That'll really give us that'll give us one, publicity, and two, maybe Governor Lamont can hear us. That's where our voices will be heard. And then ever since then, it's skyrocketed. I think we got over 30 teams speaking. We got hopefully a bunch of people coming. We hope it's going to be a good turnout.
What's the message that you really want to get out there, whether it's to the governor, to some of the other politicians, Department of Public Health? What do you want them to know?
Well, we want them to know, obviously, we want to play. We want our senior season. But our main thing is we're going into this from a perspective as it's look at the metrics and the numbers. That's the kind of approach we're taking at it. We're taking it as look at the numbers, the statistics. It's like Florida. Yeah. 2,500 cases, that's ridiculous. And, we don't even get a shot. They didn't give us, when they canceled our season, they never gave us no numbers. They never told us what was a high risk. They just said it's a risk. And in life, everything's a risk. Everything you do is a risk.
Right.
So we're looking at it as give us a shot, give us a chance, give us a fighting chance, and we could show you maybe football is bad. Maybe it's going to maybe it might spread again, but we're looking at it as look at the numbers now. The CAAC had a great plan set up for us. We were doing fine. We literally just got in the helmets. So it's you don't know what can happen.